I'm only 2 weeks away now from taking part in my first Ultra of 2025. And I thought it'd be a great opportunity to look back on my training progress for this month and also do a look forward into some future projects. So without further ado, here's where I'm at. So I'm looking forward to this Ultra for a number of reasons. I did the Thames Path Challenge 100k last year, really enjoyed myself. When I got injured at the beginning of this year, I really needed some kind of goal to focus on for my physiotherapy and rehab PT. And I told myself that if I could run either a 50 or 100k Ultra this year, then that would kind of take the edge off what had started off as a pretty sucky year. So that's one big thing, that I'm actually going to be getting back out on a trail, challenging myself. Secondly, my best friend Pete, who I've done a number of challenges with in the past, is going to be joining me for this year's event. Now, Pete is no slouch. We have done a number of challenges together in the past. We first did the Welsh 3 Peaks Challenge to raise money for Make-A-Wish. A couple of years later, we did the National 3 Peaks Challenge for Mind. We also hiked 7 marathons in 7 days between 3 veteran care homes to raise funds for them. And last year, we ran a 50k Ultra together as well. Now, bearing in mind, last year I'd gone from doing next to no running to running 10Ks and Ultras. Pete hadn't run since school. He's only a year younger than me, which tells you how long ago it had been for him since running cross country. But Pete went full 0 to hero and actually ran a couple of 50Ks himself last year. This year is going to be his first attempt at 100. So the plan is I will concentrate on our pacing. Pete will make sure that I eat, that I drink, and I look after myself, because that's something I'm seemingly incapable of on all of my Ultras so far. So it's time to talk training for August. I'll start with a disclaimer. There are a lot of awesome athletes out there and brilliant content creators that are on YouTube and other platforms that can wax lyrical about their preparations for marathons, half marathons, ultras, and they can talk for ages about the importance of having your training blocks in place and targeting specific distances and times and disciplines. All brilliant stuff that means they absolutely smash their goals. Ultimately, I am not a good runner. I am someone who will turn up to an event. I might do a warm-up. Normally I won't. I will run the event. I will finish. I will very rarely stretch off or cool down. And I'll pay for it over the next couple of days. But that's just my mentality. I'm there to have fun. I don't really feel the need that if it's pouring down with rain outside, I don't feel like I have to go outside and do a 20k run that night, because I put it in my calendar, because it is part of my training regime ready for my next event. I am a fair weather runner and I make no apologies about that. However, I was determined that August was about conditioning my body as best I could, ready for a rigorous and challenging event. Now, my physiotherapy at work had gone really well, and the physiotherapist signed off for me to start taking part in regular army PT again. So the 1st of August started with a bang. It was a sprint session for 45 minutes. Really enjoyed it, found it really challenging, really hard, having not done anything like that for 6 months, but a really good start. I then took the Saturday off, and on the Sunday I took myself back to work. I know the perimeter around the camp, where we have a running kind of trim trail, is approximately 10k. So with just a hydration vest on and my Garmin, I did a 20k pacing session, which was purely, can I go at 8-minute K pace? Bearing in mind, in all my ultras, I've gone far faster than that and burnt myself out after kind of like 50, 60k. So that was, just over 2 hours of going round in a clockwise direction around this track, taking gels every hour, and just mastering my pace. And I found it quite challenging because 8-minute K pace for me is uncomfortably slow. I was having to do probably about 700 or 800 meters of walking and then making the rest up with a slow jog to stay within that pace. But it is vital training. It conditioned my body to just moving consistently and constantly for those 2 hours, but it also was just helping program my brain into the kind of pace I need to do for the ultra. I had a normal week. After that, I did a couple of sessions with the Watterson joggers. So we normally do a sprint session on the Tuesday evening and a 5K or something there and thereabouts on the Thursday evening. But I'd also set myself a target of running a half marathon this year, something I hadn't actually run since 2013. So whilst last year I did loads of running and loads of events, it was either a 10K race or a 50 or 100. I had no real interest in revisiting the half marathon distance, but I thought it would be a useful challenge just to bring my level of fitness back up. And yeah, had an absolutely great time. I love being part of the race village atmosphere. It's something vastly different to just going out running by yourself. And I had an absolutely brilliant time. And yeah, the medal was absolutely lovely. Just being out and about with runners was good. And I posted a time that was comparable and slightly better than my previous half marathon attempts. Bearing in mind they were in the kind of earlier 2000s. To think that I can still achieve that this much later on was fantastic. I then again normal work PT for the work week, Watersham runners on camp as well. And then I went down to lovely Clacton-on-Sea for a 10K event. And weirdly, the Clacton event was one I've always wanted to do. I say always, since I started running last year primarily, because when I was looking through events that were happening in areas I was based around in, I'd seen that one advertised last year and I just couldn't make it. But it just looked like great fun, like really nice scenery. The medal looked quite nice as well. Turned up, and yeah, it was a really hot day. There were loads of challenges to this race. It was pretty much a there and back loop. I was tempted to do the half marathon, but for me, if I'm going to run a half marathon, I want to be doing a loop or a there and back. Their route was pretty much a start, run out, run back, but past the start point and repeat 2 or 3 times. I just didn't really see the joy in that. So I signed up for the 10K anyway, and it was a bloody hot day. We had a headwind for the first part of it on the upper promenade, which was lovely. Got to the turnaround point where you drop down close to the beach, headwind disappeared. Temperature immediately went up like 2 or 3 degrees. Ran all the way back up and past and looped back round. Really challenging, but a massive event, loads of runners. And when you've got guys that are just down on the beach for the day applauding you, cheering you on, it's fantastic. And again, the medal, just something I've always wanted to add to my collection. And I just think that's a really stunning and fun kind of medal to have. So again, lovely, lovely day. And up until that point, I was on a real high and I was feeling really good about myself and my level of fitness. Fast forward a week and I figured I would take myself out on some training runs around the local area. So using the All Trails app, I found a running route that was about 15K that looked okay. Set off, and I made a video about this, and please go back and see it. It was a ruin and redemption type route. So for the first time in my running training for 2 years, I found myself unable to complete even the first 5K without stopping. I don't know what went wrong. It was just, I think, just a bad day at the office pretty much. But in the first 5K, I stopped 4 times. I battled through to my turnaround point, which was the Orwell Bridge, chilled out for 2 or 3 minutes, turned around, and then bizarrely managed to run all the way back without stopping. But even though I ran essentially a 10K in an hour, I'd added on 10 minutes of rest stops on that route as well, which is really unlike me. So I put it down to a bad day at the office, took a day off. Luckily, I was on leave at this point. Went back out on the Tuesday morning, and this time ran the entire route without stopping. So really good, and it really focused me on the fact that if you have a bad day, the best thing you can do is make minor adjustments just to see if it'll help, but you've just got to get back out there and try again. And actually, it's now, I've done that route 2 or 3 times since. It's becoming a fast favourite of mine, and I'll be definitely doing some more kind of videos on that route in the future. Again, a few minor runs that week. I'm on leave, so I'm just chilled out. But I then tried to go on my Orwell Bridge route and back to do a zone 2 type run. Now, whilst I'm not particularly scientific about my running, I do know, looking back at my Garmin and Strava data, that my heart rate sits quite high when I do these races. What I need to focus on is trying to practice running in zone 2, which is a much lower heart rate zone, whereas I'm normally sat in zone 4 or zone 5. Went out for a 10k, running really slowly. It felt really easy, but when it got back, told me Garmin and Strava were like, yeah, you were zone 3, zone 4 again, mate. So I know that over the next 2 weeks now, whilst I'm back at work and doing my work PT, if I'm going out on any of my runs, I am going to be doing very slow zone 2 walk run programs to see if I can just help bring my level of fitness down and my body's way of working for that. And then we got to the final run of this 4-week block, which was back at Bury St Edmunds. It was with a company called Zigzag Running. So I'd come across them last month for my Great Barrow 10k race. This time round, they were doing a 5, a 10, a half marathon, a full marathon, and an ultra event. I figured I would challenge myself to their half marathon, having run some of the area for the 10k. Again, it was something that I wouldn't have pictured myself doing because of the distance. I had no real interest last year in running half marathons, but I found it great, and I was, the first 10k at least, I found quite easy. I was chatting to people. I felt like I was well in control of my pace. The things that went against me were ultimately it was a lot hotter than it had been forecast for. So I started struggling at about kind of 14, 15k. And there was only one water stop on the whole route. So whereas the Great Yarmouth had, again, it was a hotter day, but they programmed a water stop in every 4 mile point. For the Bury St Edmunds race, there was only a water stop at the 10k mark. So towards the end, I was feeling quite dehydrated. My pace dropped off massively in the last 3k, but I still posted a pretty decent time. It was just over 2 hours, like 2:03, late 2:03s. I finished 27th out of 96 runners, so pretty much top third. Whilst I would have preferred a faster time, and I think if I went back, I would, with a bit more training, I could easily smash some minutes of that. It was also a very hilly event, and with the heat and less water, because I never run those distances with a hydration vest, I'm quite pleased with how I did. And the icing on the cake was, I think, probably one of the better looking medals I've collected over the last 2 years. I think that's absolutely stunning. And I think if you're going to do a run, no matter how slow it goes, if you've got a nice bit of memorabilia, then it certainly it just adds that sense of achievement to it. So that is my August block, really. I've gone from a sprint session up to completing 2 half marathons in the space of 4 weeks. Whilst it's not the ideal training that I had last year, where I was able to go out and do some 30Ks, loads more 10K races and undulating terrain, a couple and 3 other ultras, I feel like I'm in an okay place. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how much I improve, hopefully, on this one with a partner to keep me in check and make sure I'm eating. but also just the fact that I'm finishing this year with some ultras is phenomenal. So that is August summed up, and it's now time to look forward to some of the content I'm looking to publish in the next few weeks and months. Starting with the third installment of my All the Gear No Idea series, I purchased a Salomon 12-litre hydration vest after failing with my two previous purchases to some extent, and I'll be reviewing that as well as using it again on the Thames Path Challenge. So look forward to that. And if you haven't watched the previous two All the Gear No Idea videos, please go and watch them, review, comment and share before the third installment comes out. I'll then be looking to do two videos based around my army fitness. So in a similar vein to my half marathon video, where I was looking to see if I could replicate or beat times that I'd set years ago, this would be very, very similar. Two of the tests that the army no longer uses, but were in effect when I joined in 2006, I will go out and reattempt just to see what level I'm at. I'm then looking at, it won't be a mukbang video, but doing a carb load video based around the 2 to 3 day period before a marathon or ultra, where it's recommended you eat an inordinate amount of carbohydrates, just to see what that looks like, how it feels. I'm really quite daunted by that one. And then ultimately, I've got the Thames Path Ultra video to make, where I'll be running with my best friend, and hopefully we'll still be talking by the end of it. But also, for some bizarre reason, I've also signed up to do the Ipswich Half Marathon, which takes place the weekend after the Ultra. So I will literally have 5 to 6 days of recovery time before trying to drag my broken, tired legs and lungs around that. And hopefully that will make for a good video as well. So all that's left for me to say is thank you very much if you've made it this far into my August recap. And if you haven't already, please hit that like button. Also, if you haven't already, it'd be great if you would consider subscribing to the channel. It costs you absolutely nothing, but what it does do is as soon as I publish any content, you'll get a notification. So you get to see loads of me suffering, sweating and swearing over my future challenges. And it also tells YouTube that more and more people are enthused by my content. Likewise, please leave me comments below about what you've been up to this month, whether you've been to any of these events or you're going to any of the future events that I've listed. It'd be great to know what you've been up to. But hopefully you've had a great August. Stay safe, and I look forward to hopefully seeing some of you lovely people at future events.